Well, for more, I'm now joined in the studio by Grenfell campaigner, Professor Chris Imafidon. Chris, briefly define what is meant by terms of reference.
It's really setting the boundaries for questions that must be asked by the inquiry in order to know whether or not the real objectives of government is accomplished. Because if you set it too narrow, then it will just say, what caused the fire? And they say, oh, it's a fridge that caused the fire. And that's the end of the question. But you have to broaden it not just to the primary cause of the fire, but to the secondary and the underlining. If we don't do that, then we'll have this case all over again.
You have submitted a suggestion. What was your idea? One of, 300 submissions for these terms of reference?
Yeah, I wrote 10 questions, and then the second one had 2 sub-questions. The inquiry must be absolutely clear that they have the resources and they have the power to be able to summon anybody that they think may have secondary information about what happened on the 14th of June. Because it's the longest day in my life. I saw it, I witnessed it. I saw the commotion between what the police were telling the locals that wanted to go in and help in the rescue operation and what the fire service was telling the individuals in the flat what to do. They told them, sit in, we're coming for you. And the locals were asked to stay out, they're coming for you. And that was so tragic. That communication gap is unbelievable. So
many questions to be asked. The question is, there's a lot of cynicism, there's a lot of scepticism, and indeed suspicion over this inquiry. And indeed, Sir Martin Moore-Bick has been accused of being out of touch. Well, he's actually extended the deadline twice over these submissions. He's also made a point of consulting with survivors. So what more can this man do?
Listen, because the fundamental discord between the residents and the local authority was that there was institutionalized silence, indifference, and insensitivity. If they had listened to the locals, they would have had at least sprinklers. If they had listened to the locals, they would have a second fire exit. So there are so many things that if you're living in a house, at least they should give you some respect to say, at least you know where the house leaks. You shouldn't just say, no, we have the experts. Like the TMOs always said, if you call the TMO and you're a local resident, the so-called tenant management organization did not manage the tenants, did not manage the activities. They were so detached from the tenants. And now Sir Martin Moore-Bick's background suggests a man that is detached from the working class. And that's where that confidence comes into a real head.
What about a criminal investigation that has been suggested? It sounds as if that would possibly give more of the answers to the questions you're raising now than an actual inquiry. What do you make of this idea of pursuing corporate manslaughter charges?
The manslaughter charges has to be because there were institutions that were managing the resources, or what they call the housing units now on behalf of the council. So they have to be asked questions.
But residents would perhaps be very encouraged by the idea of a criminal investigation, but actually what residents want are individuals to be brought to account, and that criminal investigation over corporate manslaughter wouldn't necessarily do that, would it?
Yeah, it would dilute it, but it would still shame the individual officers, because we're calling for all the emails exchanges, all the correspondence that took place between the tenants that were ignored, the TMO and the local authority. That will expose it.
The public inquiry and the criminal investigation should happen. Some are saying the criminal investigation could actually slow down the public inquiry, and maybe it should, because that should come first. Or would you rather just have the public inquiry? What's the answer?
The public inquiry should go ahead because it embraces all aspects of what happened. Now, the prosecution is looking at who did what. But the inquiry is looking at the whole...
So both can happen?
Yeah, both can happen. It's happened with the Hillsborough disaster. It's happened with this. There are precedents to public inquiry as well as specific criminal prosecutions. I don't see why there should be any fears over the two of them overlapping or conflicting, because one is specific about what happened, global. The other one is looking at who did what that went wrong on the 14th of June and why it mustn't happen again.
Professor Chris Imafidon, thank you very much indeed for joining us here in the studio.
Pleasure. Thank you.